What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I am here today with the review for The Haves and the Have-Nots, Season 7, Episode 6, titled Mr. Jim. You guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into this video. Alright, you guys, so this episode, it picks up where last week's episode left off with Candace and Hanna in Jim's room. And, Hanna is just begging Jim not to do anything to Benny. I'm like, and Hanna, and I'm with Candace, like, Mama, don't do that. Like, he's a piece of crap. Like, don't sit there and beg to him. Then he wants her to call him Mr. Jim, and I'm like, oh, he's going a little bit too far. The only person that might call you Mr. Jim is David, your good old boy. But yeah, Hanna, I'd be hot diggity dog if you call him Mr. Jim. So she does, and I'm like, wow, Hanna, that's almost like slave mentality with him. Like, the racism is just coming out of him. So then, she tells Candace, like, Candace, call the bank, go to the bank, do whatever you got to do. Candace says, I will, Mama, but you don't need to trust him. And I'm like, exactly. Just because Candace hands over the money to him, that does not mean that Jim will not call, Akil and say, hey, Akil, kill him. So yeah, she said she's gonna either go call the bank or try to find a computer to wire him his money. And like I said, you guys, the racistness just kept pouring out of Jim. He wanted her to call him demon like she called him before. I'm just like, wow, you're antagonizing this woman. And I'm like, first of all, you know that there are like sterile equipment in that hospital. Like, she can get a needle and she can, kind of, stick it in your eye. She can do a lot of things to you. But that's neither here nor there. That is neither here nor there. So he calls Akil and he puts a hold on the hits, saying, I'll give you a call back in 2 hours and let you know what to do. So then let's jump over to the jail where Wyatt and Kathryn are. And I'm sorry, but what did Wyatt take? Because I feel like Wyatt is still high. Because time has passed, because it's now morning and Kathryn's woke up. But like I said, Wyatt is still high, which I'm so thoroughly confused by. Why is he high? What did he take? Like, he had to take a lot. He had to mix a lot of drugs at that point because he is still on a high. So Marty shows up. Wyatt asks if he's there to get him. No, he's there for Kathryn. And Wyatt has just been a complete douchebag to Kathryn. I'm like, okay, Wyatt, we get it. You hate her. We get it. You're mad at her. We get it. You all these things at Kathryn, but dang. Do you really have to be that big of a dick to your mama? Not necessarily. Let's move on, you guys. Alright, so then we see that Madison and Jeffrey have finally made it to the crib. They go inside to that bullet-ridden house, and Madison's like, wow, your mom did this? Yep, she's truly crazy. He tells them, you need to, get away from her. Like, just get away from this craziness, this toxicity. And, he says, yeah, I know, but I thought about it before. He said, if you move, don't tell her where you're going. Like, up and leave. And then the worst part is the fact that he still works for his mom. Like, homie, you need to be independent of yourself. That is a problem in itself, is that you need to be independent. So, Jeffrey's also talking about how he's just he's getting comfortable with being gay. And then Madison also says, well, you also need to get away from that crazy-ass Justin as well. He says, at first he did enjoy it, but then when it got too crazy, it's like, So Madison also got a text from his job that there was like a multi-car accident, and he had to go back to work. But he just got up, so he needed to take a little nap. And Jeffrey's like, well, you can go upstairs and sleep on my bed if you want. He's like, are you sure? Yeah, go ahead. So then they go upstairs, and Madison's like, well, I can't sleep in my scrubs. So Madison starts taking off his scrubs. And he took his shirt off first. Then he took his pants off. I'm like, wait a minute, he is ass naked. He said, yep, I am naked. I don't wear underwear. I'm like, oh, Jeffrey was turned on, but Jeffrey had to walk out the room. He's acting like he's not fazed, but I'm like, Jeffrey, you're bothered. You're hot and you're bothered by the fact that he is in your room ass naked. Let's move on. Alright, so let's move over to Marty and Kathryn. So Marty and Kathryn, they go into an interrogation room. So Marty is just getting Kathryn caught up on what's going on with this case. It's airtight. Like, George has everything against her, so there's not much that can be done. She's like, oh, there's something that can be done. And then she asked him. So actually, she found out about Jim because she talking about we got to plan Jim's funeral. He said Jim is just fine. He came through surgeries. It was a success. Then she says, so what about my bail? He says, well, George doesn't want to grant you bail because he thinks that you're a flight risk. She says, I'm a pillar of this community. That doesn't mean anything, Kathryn. A pillar of the community, even if if they're up for a crime, they can all. I mean, you can still leave. You got your own plane. So yeah, you can leave. Just because you're a pillar of the community doesn't hold much weight, my girl. But he says he'll figure that out. He's going to court about that. Then he also tells her that Jennifer Salison's family is filing a wrongful death suit against her. She's like, so what does that mean? He says that they're coming after you. That's what they're doing. He says what we need to do is we need to move your assets like into maybe a shell company or of someone that you can trust. And she says, okay, we can do that. She says, I wanted to go to Hanna. He says, your maid? She says, my friend. He says, so you're going to leave all your money to your maid? She says, my friend. He says, so you don't have any family or friends that you want to leave it to? No, Hanna is her friend. I don't know what part of friend Marty wasn't getting, but Marty wasn't getting it. Marty was not getting that. So then we see Hanna still at the hospital. She's, on edge. She calls Candace. Candace doesn't answer the phone. And then, she's, Candace is with Mitch. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but at the hospital, when Candace left out of that room with Jim, Mitch said that his family has found, was able to locate where Benny is. So, actually both Hanna and Candace are worried. And Mitch tells Candace, just trust my family. It's going to be okay. So, she keeps getting phone calls from Hanna. Then there's this unknown number that calls her, and it's Benny on the phone. And, she's saying, let him go. I'm going to go to the bank to get the money. And, then after they hang up, Benny is having this conversation with Akil. I won't really listen to that conversation and keep it 100 with you guys. I just wasn't listening to it. But, they had a conversation. So then we see Broderick. So Broderick is at the jail as if this is a hotel trying to see Kathryn. I'm like, you do realize this is jail, right? You do realize the only person that can really see her at this point is her lawyer. She's not even, her lawyer is the only person that can see her. So then Marty comes out and he asks, who is Broderick? And, he says he runs the hotel, and he gives him his card with his number on it. He says, wait a minute, this number, this is the apartment building that Wyatt bought that Kathryn now owns. He says, so do you live there? I'm like, yep, he does live there. He absolutely lives there. So yeah, let's move on, you guys. Alright, you guys, so then we see Candace. So Candace wants Mitch to take her to the bank so she can get the money. Once again, Mitch is telling her, Candace, you got to give my family a chance. And, where am I at? Yes, give them a chance. And she says she can't because this is her brother's life on the line. Well, your brother put himself in this situation, unfortunately. I don't know what man believes that a stripper is going to give him a free lap dance. That was stupid in itself. Very stupid. So then, Candace looks in the paper, and there's her face in the paper. She's like, really? Then Mitch looks at it. He's like, oh, this is actually a good thing. So then Hanna calls her back, and she answers the phone. Hanna tells her, look, Candace, it's almost 10 o'clock. What you gonna do about this money? What you gonna do about this man's money? I'm either you gonna bring him his money, or I'm gonna call the cops. I'm like, oh, come on, Hanna. It's Jim. He's a judge. He's a white judge. You're black. Benny's a black man. Do you really think that the cops in that city that know Jim is gonna go and bend their back to try to find Benny? I highly doubt it, but they could. They could. They absolutely could, but I highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. So then we see Wyatt. So he's called George down to the cell because he tells George that he wants to testify against his mom. George's like, okay, that's fine. We can do that. So then he says, well, get me out of here. George's like, huh? Are you serious? You want me to get you out of here? That's not happening. He's like, why is it not happening? I have immunity. I'm like, oh my God, how stupid is Wyatt? How dumb can he be? The immunity deal that you made with Jennifer Salison was for hitting Benny and that little girl. That was your immunity. Immunity didn't grant. Immunity didn't just follow you, say, hey, you can commit any crime you want to commit, and you'll still have your immunity. You can shoot your parents. You can shoot Jeffrey. You can shoot whoever you want to shoot. You can shoot the DA. But, you know, Wyatt is a special case of slow. Wyatt is a special case of slow. You shoot your parents. You thinking that you're going to... Who told him that immunity could stretch? Immunity is for one crime. If you give someone offers you immunity, it's for whatever they're trying to charge you for at that time. So if you were drug trafficking and they wanted someone higher up on the chain and they were just using you, they can grant you immunity. But that doesn't mean that, hey, once I get this immunity deal, I can go out there, I can get back in the streets, I can do this, I can do that, because I have immunity. That is white privilege. That is that white privilege side of Wyatt. And George is like, you're delusional, right? You need real help. You're in here for attempted murder on your mother and father. Oh, they pressed charges against me? No, they didn't. But the state will press charges against you, number one, and you admitted to shooting at them. How dumb is Wyatt? Like, Wyatt got to be the dumbest person. Kids, say no to drugs, because drugs fry your brain. Wyatt is a perfect example of what drugs does to you. Like, oh my God. I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, like, he cannot be that idiotically stupid. But unfortunately, Wyatt is that idiotically stupid. Let's move on. All right, you guys. So now we're going to talk about David. I just don't understand David. I don't understand him. I don't understand him. Why do you do so much for Jim when I bet you if the roles were reversed, Jim wouldn't do jack shit for you? But, you know, he got a call from Kyle, and he tells Kyle that, hey, you know, Jim, he wanted me to reach out to you because you guys have some kind of a arrangement. And, you know, Kyle's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He says, neither do I. She says that, you know, he wants to know how soon it can be done because Kathryn was arrested for the murder of Jennifer Salison. And he says they just, you know, and Kyle says they discuss Lizzie Castillo, which I don't know who that is. And he says he's still, you know, David tells him, well, you know, he still wants to talk to you. And he says, I can get him on a secure line. And I'm like, oh, okay, David, why are you bending over backwards for Jim? I just, again, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It makes absolutely no sense to me why he bends over backwards for Jim. Time and time again. So then once they hang up the phone, Kyle is talking to the guy that not Oliver, but what's his name? Landon is blackmailing. He's saying, how much is this Candace bitch worth? I'm like, wait a minute. You're not gonna call my girl a bitch. You're not gonna call my girl a bitch like that. Like, I will reach through this TV screen and slap the white off your face, bitch. So then, you know, they talk about the paper and how the paper is basically making Candace look like a victim. Yes, that's the power of spinning a story. He also says that there's nothing that can be, you know, he can do. I don't care. I don't care about Jim, but I do care about Kathryn. God, I just wish Jim had died. So then David calls and leaves a message for Jim, and then Veronica shows up. And David's like, you know, David tells security to have, you know, escort her. She says, I'm not on the property. And, you know, David tells security, why haven't you moved her? She said, well, she's not on the property, so I can't really do anything. So, you know, Veronica is like something stupid and something ignorant. I cannot with her. Oh my God, because she had a megaphone and, you know, she was talking about David. Then, you know, Jeffrey came outside. Hey, girl, how you doing? I was just like, oh my God. And then she looks up and she sees a naked Madison. Ugh. You need to get fitted for a brazier. All that body just going to waste. She says, which one are you, Romeo or Juliet? I'm like, oh my God. I hate her. But I love her at the same time, but I hate her. Man. So then we see David. He goes in there, back in the crib, and he gets the files, and he takes it to her. And she actually shut up. I'm like, whoa, what's in that file that shut Veronica the hell up? But Veronica says, you know what? I have files as well. So if you turn your file in, I'll turn my file in. And he calls both George and Marty. And when he calls Marty, he says that he wants to talk to Kathryn. He wants to talk to Kathryn alone. I'm like, what is he up to? What is David up to? Will this neutralize now whatever David is up to? I'm like, will this actually neutralize Veronica? I highly doubt it. So then we see Hanna back at the hospital, and it's 10 o'clock. She goes into Jim's room. Actually, before she went in his room. But before she went in there, Jim called the accountant to check to see if the money was in there. He says no, that the money's not in there. So not Kathryn, but Hanna comes in. She says, "So is it there?" He says, "Yes, it's there." She says, "Oh, thank God." He says, "It's not there." I'm like, okay. Why would you, like, what'd you get mad at her for? You the one that said it was there. Like, how is she supposed to know? So then he makes the call to kill Benny, and we hear a gunshot, and that's where the episode ended, you guys. So be sure to like this video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button so you guys know when I drop anything else. Share this video, and I will see you guys later. I need to watch Black King Crew because I'm 2 episodes behind at this point. I'll see you guys later. Peace.